Welcome to the parents, staff and the school, both those physically present and those online, as well as to our adjudicators, Mr. Edmondson and Mr. Toy. Contests are where new ideas are made, a higher level of confidence achieved, and where the dreams of the future are made. While not all the speakers will go home with trophies and certificates, I am sure everyone will go home with memories and impressions that propel them towards being a better person and speaker. I'd like to ask that we be supportive and enthusiastic, because it's not very easy to stand up here and speak, but also that we are attentive as some educational and interesting topics are being spoken about, and may I also ask that you reserve your applause for the end of the speeches.
The order of our prepared speeches is from Woodhouse, we have Temple, Earwood from Gatehouse, Kirkby, we have Jenna, Jagger, Chris McEwen, James House, Atam, Wesley, Jess Leaves, and Chuck House, Tristan. And in terms of this speech length, to be 4 to 6 minutes. Lights, we get green at 4 minutes, yellow at 5, and red at 6 minutes. You will be penalized after 6.5 minutes. 1 to 2 minutes. Lights at 1, green, that is green, yellow at 1.5, and red at 2, penalized at 2.5 minutes. Please can you all just turn off your phones so we don't have any disturbance during the speeches, and be quiet and respectful. With that being said, can you welcome our first speaker, Temple, with his speech, Man in the Street.
I do what I do, not because I want to, but because I have to. At 5:30 on this crisp and windy morning, the sun has given me an appearance, but I know that if I sleep any longer, I may miss my target, one that I cannot afford to miss. I roll out from under the musty blanket wake up not knowing whether I was going to eat that day, or whether my punishment would be a day without food for whatever small thing that I would have done. A lot of my childhood is blurred, but what I do remember is the fights. My parents were always fighting, either about money or about me, or rather the fact that they had no money because of me. After years of being beaten, burned, starved, and broken by my saviors, they eventually got tired of me, and my mom's aunt decided to take me in. One day after a few months, she walked in for what seemed to be a stressful day. I was sitting on the floor, because the sofa and the chairs are open over to kids like me. And she came in and she glared deep into my soul with fiery eyes that beamed like a raging inferno. I can't take this anymore! Get the fuck out of my house! I was 13 years old, and that's when it started. I spent 4 years looking for a job. I tried it all. I approached you in your fancy cars before I could get close to you, though you rolled up the windows. And every single one of you would stiffen your necks as if that was going to make me disappear. And when I came to each and every single one of your houses and I stood at the gates, I screamed, I cried for help. And what did you do? You peeked out from the shiny blinds and you pressed the panic button. I was just looking for a job. Now I find myself sitting on this cup, sitting around with this cup begging for your sympathy, only to be accused of being a criminal. It's so humiliating, and all I can do is sit and listen to your not so subtle whispers of, if you ever do drugs, you end up at heaven. Go back home, go get a job. This is what happens. I hear it all, and it tears me up inside. I'm a human being, just like anybody else, and I deserve respect just like anybody else. Instead, I smile and laugh. I don't respond because it isn't funny, but it's that survival apparatus. Any response slightly more aggressive could land me in jail. Charlotte would come every Thursday with a nice peanut butter sandwich and sometimes third-hand clothes. And I look forward to Charlotte's visits, but it was always conflicting of whether I was excited to see her because as soon as she gave me the clothes, Gaddafi would come and take them from me. He's the king of the block, he's been doing this for years. Every single time I think of unwrapping the peanut butter sandwiches, someone would be there, taking it from me. You see, we're all trying to survive. But Charlotte did a good job. She has invested into her road to heaven, and she walks away feeling like she's done something in the world. I love it, but I also hate it. Now, sometimes I sit and I wonder, while that sandwich is being taken away from me, while I'm being beaten up with the clothes, does Charlotte even know my name? Does she know my name? Could she tell me apart from Albert on the 3rd block? But I don't know that as well. You see, I'm complex, I'm multifaceted. I have hopes and dreams. I have good days and bad days. I have emotions. I want to love. I want to be loved. I'm just like you. But all you see is a man in the street.
Thank you so much, Temple, for that very deep and profound speech. Up next is our first unprepared, Azul Banga, who's going to be giving us some clarity on fun and traditions in his speech titled, When Do Fun and Tradition Become Dangerous Behavior? Who decides this?
When do fun and tradition become dangerous behavior? And who are the people responsible for deciding this? Well, most importantly, tradition is a way of bonding and building special relationships between a person that has just entered a group and wants to feel a part of that group. It's these not-so-fun activities that ultimately help the person bond with the group that they have just become a part of. Unfortunately, the group most responsible for making this dangerous behavior happen are seniors that push the boundaries and make these fun traditions more painful, because I believe they feel the need to make this new person feel what happened to them in the past. This is definitely not a positive way of thinking, and for a house or group environment to improve, I would say that we need to implement more fun traditions that are less painful and suffering. Thank you.
Tradition is not meant to be painful. Thank you so much for that speech, Azur. And here we have Evan from Gatehouse with the speech, Kim Ye.
Dumb, all looks, no brains, talentless. Ironically, one of them owned a multi-million-dollar fashion brand named Talentless. The family is worth billions, and if we take into account their significant others, we're talking billions and billions and probably more billions. Today I'll be speaking on the Kardashian-Jenner West family. My opinion is that they are highly intellectual. I'll specifically be focusing on Kim and Kanye. Kim Ye. But before I lay out my argument, let me remind you that fame is achieved and maintained because people are exceptional at what they do, as well as hardworking. Kimberly Noel Kardashian, if I had to sum her up in one word, elevated. Everything she has accomplished, she has taken to the next level. Kim K has surpassed a philanthropist status. She is a liberator. Alice Johnson, Momo Stewart, Tiny Swall, Matthew Charles, only to name a few of the individuals who would still have been incarcerated had it not been for Kim Kardashian West's intervention. She recently partook in the 90 Days of Freedom movement, helping 17 inmates to be freed. She is now studying to become an attorney of law to help further the cause so close to her heart. While she liberates on the side, she also has many entrepreneurial endeavors. KKW Cosmetics, which raked in $100 million in 2019. She recently sold a 20% stake of this business for $200 million. Now, if we do the calculation, we will see that makes her a billionaire. She owns a shapewear brand named Skims, and she also has a stake in the technology industry. Her app's name is Kimoji. It's quite clever, don't you think? All of these businesses were started by her, built by her, and the marketing done solely by her. Kim once said, "You can say a lot of things about me, but you cannot say that I don't work hard." Some more of Kim's many attainments include her being one of the most famous individuals on the face of the planet. Her 18-season-long TV show, as well as her 182 million followers on Instagram, are both testimonial to her popularity. I think we can all acknowledge that she's a trendsetter. I mean, where do you think athleisure came from? Besides fighting against harsh incarceration, running a number of multi-million, now billion-dollar businesses, being a law student, setting trends, and having the whole world monitor her every move, she is also the mother of 4 and husband to the greatest artist resting or alive. And I think it takes someone of exceptional capabilities to juggle all of these things. Someone of exceptional skill and someone of exceptional intellect. Kim's extremely influential husband, the renowned Kanye West, was named on Times' 100 most influential people and caught the cover page for the publication of that article. You might think he's crazy and impulsive. I say he refuses to acknowledge any limitations and he has an unlocked mind. Kanye, Ye, Yeezy, Yeezus. Kanye is the music industry. He is the rap game. Yeezy is fashion. He has just struck a deal with the American clothing retailer, The Gap, which will provide him with the infrastructure to bring the future of fashion to the masses. Kanye is also a billionaire. No lies were spoken when he uttered the words, and I quote, "I am undoubtedly, unquestionably, the greatest human artist of all time." This includes him being the greatest rapper of all time. Not that mumbling boy Eminem or Beyonce's husband. No. Kanye is the GOAT, the greatest of all times. His album, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, won Album of the Decade by no coincidence. Kanye in his recent years has re-met God. We were all anticipating his next masterpiece, Yanni, to drop when he released Jesus is King, a gospel album. Many of us were slightly disappointed as we were expecting the next life of Pablo, but got another yay. But Yeezy said something very profound in one of his Jesus is King songs. He said, everybody wanted Yanni, but Jesus Christ did the laundry. And you know, that just speaks volumes to me, and that's all I'm going to say. Kanye's innovation and unfiltered emotions are very much evident in his art. It's what makes it so relevant, so remarkable, and so desirable. Now, they may not be academics, but it is said that creativity is your intellect at play. Evidently, this family has a great amount that they have accomplished. It takes intellect to not only have built and maintained such an empire based on themselves as individuals, but to continue doing so. Hence, all of their achievements, which there are many of, are testimonial to their intellect.
You guys, that was literally so great. I mean, did you hear what he said about Kanye? Gosh. Anyways, the next speaker is Isabella Domingo with a topic that Ken might like. It's called We Do and Should Judge a Book by its Cover.
Hey guys, so embarrassingly enough, I am a pretty big bookworm, and I could go really metaphorically into this and discuss society's obsession with appearances and why that really doesn't matter. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not trying to bore you guys to tears. So let's take this real literally. Now, I have spent a fair amount of my time book browsing. I mean, there's only so many times that you can reread the Percy Jackson series or Gone Girl before you start being able to quote 3-page monologues about society's issues about women. So, you know, I think that that's a pretty clear sign that I have seen a fair amount of book covers. And I'll openly say it. I judge books by their covers. I mean, come on, that's the first thing we notice. It's meant to give us an idea of what the book's about, right? It's advertising. I mean, have you seen some of the trash that gets published? Look in the crazy store. Every single book there is just some crazy title. Like I saw one was called Kissing the Coronavirus. She was meant to cure it. She ended up falling in love with it. Like, what? But you guess what the cover was? A woman in a period piece costume, big ball gown, and just an ominous figure of a man. And you're like, come on, well at least someone's doing their job, because that stuff got published. Someone bought that. So really, judging a book by its cover, I see no issue, because it gives us a window or a preview of what the book's about, and really, what else are you going to judge it by? Thank you.
Let's be very real though. If you don't like the cover, you don't really get the book. Anyways, let's get our next speech from from Jenna, currently housed with her speech, Perpetuation of Rape Culture in Education Systems. Now this speech may have some triggering stuff in terms of sexual assault and all of that, and some very explicit language, so just be careful.
You're such a fucking hoe. I love it. 2019. Sorry, Emmett. Now, when the song was released, it instantly went viral, as expected given who created it. And yet no one actually stopped to comprehend what was being said. Both boys and girls on this campus ran around singing and chanting the lyrics I just recited to you. And yet no one paused, no one took a step back and said this is not okay, because this is the 21st century and we are the woke generation. We are condoning the over-sexualization and slut-shaming of women. Not only are we condoning it, we are shouting it out. We are shouting out our acceptance of rape culture. Before I continue with what I have to say to you tonight, I need to inform you as my audience that what I'm about to say could be triggering to victims and survivors of sexual assault. So if at any point in my speech you feel that you need to leave, feel no shame in that. On February 7th, 2020, a South African woman was drugged and raped by her date. Her rapist has been subsequently released from police custody under the grounds of insufficient evidence. He will never see the inside of a courtroom, let alone the inside of a prison cell. And still we ask the question, what was she wearing that night? How much did she have to drink? And what did she do to put herself in that situation? Now please keep these questions in mind when I tell you the next two cases. On September 1st, 2020, a 9-year-old girl went missing, and 2 weeks later her body was found decomposing, stuffed into a wardrobe. On September 4th, 2020, the body of a 4-year-old girl was found in a field days after her disappearance. She endured stab wounds to both the stomach and neck, as well as a substantial head wound. A 4-year-old and 9-year-old girl. Were they assaults about what they were wearing? Were they about what they had to drink that night? And were they about what they did to put themselves in that situation? I shouldn't have to tell you the answer to this question. But for the ignorant ones in the room, the answer is no, because these questions are never relevant, regardless of the victim's age, gender, race, or social class. Our society has been poisoned almost to the point that it is beyond redemption by the toxic disease we have come to know as rape culture. A disease that has claimed the lives of more people than the bubonic plague, coronavirus, and both world wars combined. And so one by one we become a statistic. 1 out of 3 women and 1 out of 6 men under the age of 18 that will experience sexual assault in their lifetime. And don't get me wrong, I'm not undermining the sexual assault of men. It's just that for once what needs to be said tonight is not about men, because gender-based violence is a man's problem that is left for women to fix. Every single day women are blindly led to the slaughterhouse of gender-based violence, and the rest of us, you may ask, we are told to sit still, look pretty and remain silent. But guess what? We are no longer silent. Sexual assault is a symptom of the mindset that it manifests itself in the form of unfathomable hate crimes. A mindset that can be directly attributed to our education systems. The human race has been societally engineered and methodically educated to buy into the construct of rape culture. The systematically rooted judgment make girls feel as though being born female they are already guilty of something. Our perception has become so warped, our perception of normal, that we actually teach girls to fear for their lives when walking in a crowded mall alone. We actually teach girls that in order to protect themselves and their personal life, we have to uncover centuries of patriarchy and expose it for what it really is. And so to every single woman sitting in this chapel tonight, you bear the mark of your time. We proudly carry the scars of those who have come before us and those who will come after us because we are women and that is our burden to bear. We bear the burden of our mothers, our sisters, of our daughters and of our best friends. But that burden can no longer weigh us down because we need to use it as a weapon to dismantle the patriarchy. We need to use it as a weapon of force to dismantle our misogynistic culture. And even though, as Lana Del Rey said, hope is a dangerous thing for a woman like me to have, I still have it because I know that we as women will rise. We will rise and transcend our intentional oppression because we are more than just sexual objects. We are more than a summation of our biology, and we are more than what has happened to us. We will rise and transcend the unspeakable crimes committed against us by humanity, and we will rise and transcend the devastating effects of rape culture.
Jason Cronin is here to give us an unprepared speech about the aliens that live among us.
Do aliens live among us? This is a topic that I personally thought a lot about as a child. I would have many late-night discussions with my father about whether or not they exist, about whether or not one day we'd be taken over by aliens, or whether or not we'd one day be a slave to them, or if they created the pyramids, or any such national wonders. Now, in these discussions, we discussed many reasons why they could be real, or why they may not be real, or if they are real, what they're like, or things like that. Now, many people in movies and things like that, aliens are depicted as like human-like beings that are always incredibly smart, and we always manage to beat them in the movies, but they're supposed to be these super intelligent beings that figured out how to get to us. Now, if aliens are real, which I personally think they are, they probably aren't like humans. They may not be in human shapes, they may not be as intelligent as humans, and they may not even exist. Now, many studies and things go on about to find out whether or not aliens exist. But the thing is, people say they don't exist because we have no evidence on them, but we have no evidence that aliens do not exist. Now, I personally believe that aliens do exist. They're just either too far to reach us, or just neither species is intelligent enough to find one another. Although we may not have aliens, we may not know that we have aliens among us, they very could still be. And we've all heard about Area 51 and that the USA is hiding all the aliens there. If it's true, and if aliens do exist, I personally hope that one day I'll have an alien best friend.
Aliens are definitely around us, and everyone might just end up with an alien best friend. Now we have Chris McKinney from Jaguar with his speech, Express Yourself.
Kingswood College, it is time to express yourself. Honestly and truly, manifest your personality and your feelings into action. Kingswood College, express yourself. See this as a reminder, because we all have within ourselves an internal struggle between who we are and who we believe we are meant to be, between the part of us that is individual and the part of us that is an individual trying to fit in to the world around us. Good evening, everyone. This is my prepared speech. I wrote this speech this afternoon, but make no mistake, I am prepared. 5 minutes behind a podium. 5 minutes that if I believe in myself and I am honest with myself, there can be nothing in my way, and I can exert my energy on the world through my chosen medium. If I can find such a state, I might as well tear up the speech right now, because I don't need a script to express myself. Now that rubric, the one the judges are currently using to grade me, it symbolizes something greater, something problematic and deeply ingrained. I think the judges should take that rubric and throw it away. In order to truly express yourself, you cannot only expect to impress people. It is a dog jumping through a hoop. It is a girl tying up her hair because her principal says it looks neat. It is us doing our homework just to get a mark. It's groupthink, it's conformity, it's giving in to expectations. There should be a new rubric, and the only criteria that rubric should consider was to what degree was their self-expression. Did said speaker honestly and effectively express themselves? We are constantly reminded that we need to work hard in order to achieve something. But quite frankly, I hate being reminded to work hard. It's very good advice, don't get me wrong, but I feel it misses the point. It shows that people do not understand the importance of self-expression. To achieve something, to be good at something, one must resonate with their work. Let your work be the result of expressing yourself. Therefore, if we can find a task that allows us to honestly express ourselves, then we need not be reminded to work hard. The only thing we need to be reminded of is how a successful combination of instinct and control gives us the power to conquer great things. We must be reminded that it is very important to express yourself. Because in life, how often do we forget to do this? How often do we forget not to rack our brains, convincing ourselves to fit in? All of the time, our natural individual instincts offer us feelings and ideas, but we suppress them. We suppress ourselves. We suppress ourselves so we can fit into society without causing any disruption. Society demands that we fit in. But when fitting in makes us invisible, we misunderstand an aspect of humanity that allows for much joy in life, the joy of self-expression. That's right, we need to find a place where we can express ourselves and enjoy it. Right now, I am expressing myself with this speech, trying very hard to control my tone, and I am enjoying it despite the challenge of it. In a generational way, we have become people living for clout. We have become automated machines, and recognition is our fuel, defeated by expectations, and living our lives to tick boxes, to meet the criteria of a rubric. One must wonder, how can I, as a human being, express myself, truly and honestly? And when I think and I look into myself, I shall find confidence and I shall find honesty. It will allow me to be myself. And I do not need a script to be myself. I can tear this up right now before all of you, and I can continue defying my generation's pattern of failing to express themselves, to be themselves, and not to work for recognition, to work for within me. It is an outward process. I'm like the universe expanding. My energy is spreading across the room through me expressing myself. There's no concern of what the judges or the crowd think. It's simply me, enjoying, controlling my tone, and expressing how I feel in this current moment. That is it. I am a quiet guy generally, but this is my place, this is my domain. I'm not concerned with certain forms of judgment. However, I am here expressing myself honestly with fun, completely unprepared, completely unscripted. I didn't finish the speech this afternoon. But I will say, as a man of few words, I carry an immaculate vocabulary, and I believe in myself, and I have the confidence to always express myself. Remember, Kingswood College, express yourself.
I'd like to call upon Faith, whose controversial topic is "The world is over-medicated, we need to change that."
I'm sure anyone who knows me knows that I'm an aspiring med student, and I think that this topic was specifically chosen for me with that in mind. So I have 2 points here. One, I'm going to take it quite literally, and I'm going to speak about actual over-medication. And the second point, if I get to it, I'm going to speak about drugs. Okay, so first of all, the world is over-medicated and we need to change that. We all know that our livestock problem has become quite big. We pump all of our livestock with antibiotics, and slowly but surely all of these viruses are becoming immune to the antibiotics that we're feeding them. And also this sounds true to humans who we have a cough. I'm just going to give you, okay, let me not list antibiotic names, but they're just going to give you an antibiotic, they're just going to give you meds, you're going to be fine. Well, this is actually very counterproductive, as it's undoing all of the research that has been put in over hundreds and thousands even of years into medicine and into saving lives. So it's actually counterproductive to be over-medicating the world. Anyway, now onto the more fun side of things, I'm sure to all of you. Drugs. We get sad, we get high, right? If you have an art project, what are you going to do? LSD. If you have a philosophy paper due tomorrow, you're probably going to smoke weed. If you're sad, your doctor will give you Prozac. If you're anxious, he'll give you Xanax. Sadness motivated some of the greatest artists. Think of the greatest authors and artists and poets you can think of. Shakespeare's, Bronte's, Leonardo da Vinci, all of these, okay, so you might not know all of them, but the English teachers will catch them. The misery, we need to embrace our misery. It is the greatest motivation for our art. So to save art, and to save the history of medicine, and all the effort that artists and doctors have put in collaboratively into forms of expression and into forms of medication, we need to stop over-medicating the world. Thank you.
She uses her pills, I use weed. We're all doing it for the good. Can we welcome? Next we have Atang with her speech, Society's Perception of Women.
Hi, I'm Amaka Mane and I'm 20 years old. I'm an activist in the making. I'm so sorry for my nervousness. I'm not really used to saying what I'm about to say because most of the time I'm silenced. So today, I come before you on behalf of all the women in society. Questions before I begin my job interview. The first question is, why is it so difficult being a woman in society? Expectations and constantly being judged. We are the pillars of strength for everyone, but for us, we have nothing and no one to lean on. Expectations and constantly being judged. We have to hold in everything, because for us, we have to be strong for those around us, even when you know you can't. Sacrificing every part of ourselves, including our emotional well-being. How is that fair? We constantly find ourselves in situations brought to us by our loved ones, and they always say that if it's destroying you, then it's not love. Why is it so difficult? Constantly being stuck in situations where you can't help yourself but to stay, because as a woman, you are not valued enough. And what you have to say in society means nothing and has no value whatsoever. So we ask ourselves daily, yes, I am a global citizen, but what do I bring to the world? What is my purpose? Nothing, said men. So are you telling me that we bring nothing to the world as women? The same women that are the future. The same women that are the pillars of strength in society. The same women that have only withstood the multitudes of challenges thrown at us. The same women who are strong for those around us. But they'll never understand, because in society's eyes, we are the weakest creation. But the truth is, we are not who you think we are. A woman is the mother of the world. Can you believe that Google defines a woman as an adult human female? So boring, right? But what people fail to understand is that being a woman doesn't have a set definition. A woman in her essence is amazing and unique. Ladies, each and every one of you sitting in this room has a purpose. You have a job. Don't ever invalidate your existence. You may not know now what your purpose is, but you'll realize one day whilst you're making the slightest change in the world and in someone's life. One thing I can say is that with us, you can find all the abstract things within a woman. A woman is love. A woman is kindness. She is compassion. She's a pillar of strength to all. We are society's greatest agent for change. We're the ones that make it possible. Whether or not you take us for granted, won't you change the fact that we are the makers? We are the leaders. We are the ones that make it all possible. I am not just a fetus container. I'm not too sensitive. I'm not too loud. I'm not too bossy. I just take control where I have to. I'm not too moody. I'm just tired of being silenced and misunderstood. My glasses? Oh yeah, I wear them to get a clear view of how the world sees us. And with that, we'll prove them wrong. Don't sit like that. Are you really going to eat all of that? It's not ladylike. It's difficult because we are the pillars of strength for everyone around us. But when we are cracking and crumbling, everyone steps back and watches. We are not solely responsible for home and family. I will not cook. I will not clean. I will not shop for groceries. I will not wake the kids up early in the morning for school, because why can't he do it? So what I'm trying to say is that as women, we should not be boxed into the domestic area, since it's apparently our role in society. It's time we deconstruct that narrative. I will do something because I want to do it, and not because it's my role in society. Like Jenna said, dismantle the patriarchy. I was once told not to bite off more than I can chew, and I said, as the prodigious woman I am, I'd rather choke on greatness than nibble on mediocrity.
Choke on greatness than nibble on mediocrity. Wow, powerful. Anyways, next up from Chubb House, we have Liam Titi with his speech titled Heaven and Hell Are Right Here on Earth.
As Jacob says, most niggas don't believe in God, and so they're terrified. It's either that or they're going to hell. So as a Christian, I probably have such views, but heaven and hell are actually right here on earth. Life is such a complex series of events, and it's just weird how one person can be so happy and fulfilled, and yet the person right next to them can be experiencing the complete opposite. In this very room, we've got people with different struggles and backgrounds. We have people in this world who dread the sun coming up because it's a constant reminder of a reality that they can't escape. Whereas on the other side of town, we've got someone who's actually living their best lives. And it just goes to show that we as people tend to think that heaven and hell are like so far away, but actually there's people suffering and there's people living their best lives right here on earth. So we always look at the angle, but we also tend to forget that there are people who actually are just struggling every day and are suffering. So, yeah.
Confidence is something that is important, like Chris has told us, for you to be able to express yourself. But that's not necessarily the case for everyone. And with that, we welcome Jess Lees from Wesley with her speech, I envy those with confidence.
I envy those with confidence. Sorry, I think I lost something. I forgot my confidence somewhere. Oh, sorry, found it. Wait, no, this is the wrong thing. This takes away your confidence. I suggest not using this. I envy those with confidence. You know those people who can be so full of themselves, but love everything about themselves? Yes, we at least know one or two people about them. How can you have so much confidence in the world we live in? It's because, I don't know, I haven't solved that yet. It's rather disgusting, really. Not the confidence, the fact that the world takes away. Confidence is amazing. I praise those people who have it because I can't do that. I'm quite literally shaking. I'm here to talk about something that I struggle with a lot, and I believe a lot of people need to hear this. The quickest way to get confidence is to do exactly what you're afraid to do. It's the stupidest quote I've probably ever heard. Why do I do something I'm afraid to do if it's just going to disappear afterwards? The world is so irritating because you think of how materialistic it is. You have to buy confidence off the shelf or something. You feel good today, dude. Oh yeah, I had a bottle of confidence this morning. I'm so ready. But the world's going to unfortunately be more difficult than that. Okay, let's start again. Why don't you have confidence? Is it because people around you make you feel inferior? Yes, they are lacking the confidence themselves. Guess what? They're doing that because they have more confidence in you than you have in yourself. Listen to that again. They talk down to you because they have more confidence in you than you have in yourself. They're scared you're going to do so many amazing things that they can't achieve themselves. Wow. It's almost like you were destined for greatness since the beginning. I'm here because I have no confidence. I'm buckling at the knees. I'm not good at this, but I think there are a lot of people who need to hear this. So here I go. Story time. And yes, I know there are a lot of people in high school who haven't had enough time in our lives yet, or haven't had time to go places where we want to go, and all those invaluable excuses that you keep telling yourself. That's right, I added you. Let's say, unfortunately, you're on your deathbed, and all around you are ghosts of talents you have never used, opportunities that you've wasted. How many are going to be around you? I get those confident people who are going to have maybe one or two, but not me. I've got so many I wouldn't want to count. I'm so emotional just thinking about it. I'll cry probably when I get home. Once again, I envy those with confidence because they can use those things. I have so many opportunities that I've probably wasted the whole time I've been here. I see people in my age group or people older than me who are so full of pride and everything, but that confidence is sort of wasted in a sense. A wise person once said, confidence is where arrogant children start and where the world leaders end. It's me. I'm that wise person. But not everyone will be confident, and that's why I'm talking to you about how I'm going to end this off with 4 questions. It might not relate to now. It probably won't relate to you in 20 minutes. But maybe sometime in your life when you're unfortunately feeling scared or have no confidence yourself. First, you need a goal. If you don't have a goal, then I can't help you. Find one. You have to ask yourself, why do I want this goal? What am I willing to do to get it? I mean, you can't have a map and not know where you're going. And if you're scared, why are you scared? Is it because someone's talking down to you? Is it because you have no confidence? And why are you still questioning your goal? I mean, it might not be the best decision to question yourself or even have the goal to begin with, but you'll never know unless you try.
Getting over your confidence is how you become what some might call a professional at something. You know, when you're scared and then you do something a lot, then you get better at it, and then people like you for that, and then you're a professional. If that makes sense, I don't know. But Tawanda is here to speak about how professional athletes are overpaid.
Professional athletes are overpaid. I thought there would be more booze. Okay. So, I'm sure many of you do not believe that they're overpaid, given the fact that they're making millions of dollars, depending on what companies they play for or what teams. You know, the sponsorships, that's quite a lot. I mean, in certain cases, it's maybe very small, just a tiny bit justified by the dangers or the health dangers of playing these sports such as American football, rugby, whatever. But that's mainly in America where you're more able to get funding for your healthcare off of a GoFundMe page than actual medical services. So now you're thinking, okay, but these are sports, what does it have to do? But then you have to ask the question, what counts as a sport? Because if I were to play chess, that counts as an international sport. They get hundreds of thousands of dollars just for moving a piece of wood around on a stupid board with 8x8 grids. As I'm watching there, wondering how long is this going to take because I'm here dying. I'm allowed to judge this. I was second best at my school before I came to Kingswood. And then you have to think about it. How many people do play sport? Because if you think about it, who goes professional? It's like in the single digits. But then in the single digits of a million is still hundreds of thousands of people wasting their lives. And then it's the problem of everyone who believes that this is justified. People are watching other people run around the field for money. I mean... Well, that is my speech. Thank you. Please do not fight me.
Now, I think this next one, which is our last prepared speech for the night, is one for the English teachers, seeing that we have two with us already. But welcome to Tristan from Chum House with his speech, Shakespeare is Pointless.
Romeo, Romeo. Sorry to all the English fanatics. This might cut a bit deep, but it has to be said. I think we can all agree that the great Shakespeare shaped the way we see poetry today and is one of the world's most recognized poets and playwrights. He was the most famous poet in the world for a long time, and his plays were the epicenter of theatrical performances. Shakespeare, throughout his life, wrote around 37 plays, of which 2 got lost, and over 150 poems, as well as adding 3,000 words to the English dictionary. But William Shakespeare, the world's greatest playwright, poet, and actor of the 16th century, emphasis on the 16th century. Correct me if I'm wrong, but last time I checked, we were in the 21st century. Nowhere close to 1564. 456 years later, and we are still learning about Romeo and Juliet's tragic love story, Macbeth's greed for hunger, and Prince Hamlet's revenge against his uncle. But why? Why do we analyze plays written in a language that we will never ever use, let alone understand? Shakespeare wrote plays because of his love for them, as well as to put money in his pocket, food on the table, and a fire in the bellies of his audience. Not to scare us teenagers to death when we hear that we have an English prepared Shakespeare test, or wonder what the hell this man was saying. I can truly say, in the 18 years of my living, I've never used the word thine instead of your, or dost instead of do. And yet, when I walk into my English class, I feel as if I'm expected to speak Shakespearean language backwards. I'm sure we can all agree.
If it wasn't for spark notes, most of us sitting right here would think Romeo and Juliet were actually siblings.
I will admit, I do agree that everyone should know who William Shakespeare was, and his name should definitely be a household name. But I do not see a point in learning a language that is no longer spoken. It's like fishing without a hook, or washing your car in the rain. Pointless. Shakespeare was important, but nowadays he is pointless. We have to look at so many other playwrights in our generations, such as Maggie Nelson's and Simon Stevens. With people like these two running the poetry and playwright shows, we don't need to hear the olden day English, which most kids our age don't understand, let alone care about. Most of Shakespeare's audiences back in the days were illiterate, and I didn't know what was going on half the time, just like a teenager sitting in an English class. The reason he wrote was to be heard, not studied and read behind a desk. He's irrelevant nowadays because of the fact that he didn't do anything to change the world. He never conquered a country like Napoleon, or invented anything important like Thomas Edison with the light bulb. And although he was important in the English world, I'm just going to ask you these two questions. Will knowing Shakespeare stop wars? Will knowing when he was born end pollution? I think not. So what I think we should do from now on is be the change for the rest of the kids who are going to struggle when they get to Shakespeare, and make it known, Shakespeare is pointless.
I'm sorry to disagree, but I mean, like, he invented the word vomit in bedroom, and surely that's something.
Well, up next is Kasonye with her speech titled We're Already Living in a Dystopian Society.
An imagined state or society which there is great suffering or injustice, typically one that is totalitarian or post-apocalyptic. Have you guys ever heard of the Cold War? No? Well, it was indeed not cold at all. It was hot, and there was aggression, and everyone just wanted to bomb each other. You see, on one side, we had the USSR, the golden USSR. They said socialism. They said healthcare for you, healthcare for you. They were the original Oprah. They were there for us. But have you ever looked at the world we live in? We live in a world where people are killed for their skin color. We live in a world where the government contributes on the suffering of people. We live in a world where we aren't free. Because freedom isn't defined for us. It is defined for the rich. It's defined for the privileged. We live in a world where we are seen to be weak, seen to be annoying, is what we are. We live in a world where this is a dystopia, where we are suffering. And if you think this is bad, if you think climate change is bad, if you think killing people is bad, I think you should take a look at what the government is actually doing.
Thank you so much to every single one of those speakers for all your wonderful speeches. The judges will now go on down and discuss some notes. You guys can chat amongst yourselves, but not too loudly. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being here this evening. The judges have deliberated and we have our winners and runners up for the night. So, for the unprepared, in second place, Tawanda. And first place for unprepared is Kasonde. In second place, Tristan Haller. And in first place, Jenna Smith.
And Mr. Toy, please come on. Thank you so much for educating us to this moment. Thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed the speeches, had a good laugh, and learned something new. The audience may be dismissed. And could the top four please